That's always the case. America leads. We are the indispensable nation. We have capacity no one else has. Our military is the best in the history of the world. And when trouble comes up anywhere in the world, they don't call Beijing, they don't call Moscow, they call us. That's how we roll. And that's what makes us America.
The president is dead on about that. America's still the place everyone, save for Russia, China, and a few of the other malcontents, calls when they're in trouble and they need saving. In light of the current world situation, the United States, many believe, has absolutely no choice but to intervene. And the call to keep our nose out of such places has now cost us dearly and should teach us a lesson for the future. Let us welcome to Midpoint Ron Nehring is former chairman of the California Republican Party and a nominee for lieutenant governor in that state. And Zahra Buck-Whitfield is a political strategist and founder, CEO of Buck Group Government Strategies. I thank you both for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Zahra, ladies first, let's go ahead and start with you. Is it not fair to say that the lessons learned by pulling out of countries too soon, by taking our military off the ground, by letting governments try to build, has just shown us that we have to be in certain countries? Let's face facts. If America wants to be safe, our military and our people have to be on that ground for a long period of time.
Well, I don't agree with that, especially with the idea that the president should be putting boots on the ground without congressional approval. I think that he absolutely has to go to Congress. Unfortunately, Congress is in recess. And so at this time, he's doing everything within his power, the executive powers, in order to permit these airstrikes and also to utilize diplomacy with other countries and form a coalition of the willing.
Okay, now I'm going to agree with you, and you're absolutely right about congressional approval, but let's go past that right now. Let's take that out of the mix, and let's just say that you get it. But is it not fair to say that if America wants to remain safe, knowing full well the global nature of terror right now and people who want to kill us, that we simply have to go into these countries? We can't stay out anymore.
Oh, absolutely. I think that beheadings are a game changer. I think anytime you have Americans attacked either on U.S. soil or abroad, there is no doubt that we have to intervene. Absolutely.
Ron, your take on this as well. Isn't it just now a matter of fact, and Americans may hate to hear this, and there are those broaching at it and bristling at it right now as I say this, that when it comes to Iraq, Afghanistan, other places, we have no choice?
Well, it's certainly true that we need to be prepared to use all of our military and diplomatic tools at our disposal in order to keep the American people safe. This is not a question of simply some group of people who've taken over some insignificant corner of the world. This is a violent organization which is bent on killing Americans, who have directly threatened Americans, who have directly threatened American leaders and people, and clearly are working to organize, to use asymmetric warfare against American civilians. This cannot be tolerated, and we have to be prepared to use all the tools available, not stopping with air power, but ground troops when that is necessary in order to ensure that Americans are kept safe. And as soon as those objectives are achieved, then we need to be able to hand over control to a local democratically elected authority and then withdraw from that. But we cannot be afraid to use our power when necessary.
But isn't that the fallacy of it, though? The locally democratically controlled government, it has been tried time and time and time again. It hasn't worked anywhere. So isn't it then behooving to the president and others to say, look, we need to do whatever it takes. Tell the American people the truth instead of saying no boots on the ground when everybody knows that cannot be the case.
Well, a couple things. First is that it's certainly preferable that where America has intervened, that we leave a democracy behind. We did so in Germany and Japan and elsewhere, and that worked obviously very, very effectively. But I think additionally, what's most important and a little concerning about what President Obama has said is that it's not in our interest to telegraph to our opponents the tactics and strategies which we plan to use. So maybe President Obama has no intention of putting ground troops into Iraq, but that's not something which he should be telegraphing to the other team. President Bush was able to exert enormous influence beyond the mere footprint of American military, because people literally did not know whether he might pull the trigger and send American ground troops in. Libya was a prime example. Muammar Gaddafi turned over his entire nuclear program and now sits in a warehouse in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, without Americans having fired a shot, because Muammar Gaddafi was concerned that President Bush would come in and use ground troops in the same way that Saddam Hussein was taken out.
I got about 2 minutes here. Zahra, let me come to you. An Associated Press GFK poll, this was conducted between September 25th, September 29th, asked likely voters who they trusted more to protect the U.S. against terror, Republicans or Democrats. About 40% trusted the Republicans, 25% trusted Democrats. Why do the Democrats have such a low opinion, you believe, in the minds of the American people when it comes to protecting them?
Well, look, I mean, at this stage in the game, leading up to midterm elections, you will find a poll that will favor one party over another, no matter what the topic is. The fact is that that Republicans, although they have been leads on military amongst voters, we see that the tide has definitely changed among Democrats, especially on the campaign trail. Their approval ratings have certainly increased and will continue to increase, especially after there is a vote before the Congress, and then we can see if there's an up or down vote for boots on the ground. We can see what members specifically are in support of it, and we will see that Democrats wholeheartedly stand behind the president and doing whatever we need to do in order to eliminate these terrorist threats on the American people.
About 45 seconds. Zahra, quick answer from you here. Do the Democrats then come the midterms now? Do they need to be more hawkish as they head towards that vote?
Well,
Look,
certainly,
it's
I think
Congress.
that
It's coming up on midterms. They always reserve the right to revise and extend their remarks, so to speak. However, yes, if the position has changed and we have the terrorist threats that have increased, the Democrats absolutely will support the president, and I think that you will see that they will vote in favor of putting boots on the ground. However, they will look to make sure that we don't put our men and women of the military in harm's way unnecessarily.
30 seconds, Ron. Midterms coming up. Is being hawkish, exceptionally so, a winner for the Republicans?
Well, certainly when the American people are concerned about security, they tend to turn toward Republicans. The Democrats have clearly taken a big hit because of the perception, real or imagined, that President Obama has mismanaged the situation. The growth of ISIS is something which, by his own admission, took the American administration by surprise. It's not only the president who's taken a hit there. He's the head of his party. He's the most visible Democrat, although his name is not on the ballot. He defines the Democratic Party, and Democratic Senate and congressional candidates are taking a hit right now, and they're squirming to look for a way to come back. And we see Republican advertising taking the Democrats to task. I saw an ad yesterday for one Republican taking a Democrat
Unfortunately,
to task.
that's going to have to be the last word. We're all out of time, Ron. We'll do it again.
Okay.
Ron and Zahra, thank you so much for joining us. Midpoint continues.
Liberia plans to prosecute a man who brought Ebola to the U.S. I'm Miranda Kahn, and this story tops your Newsmax Now update. Authorities say Thomas Eric Duncan lied on health forms about not having contact with an infected person. Duncan may have exposed nearly 100 people to the virus, including children. Health officials, meanwhile, have reached out to those individuals. None of them show any symptoms of the virus. That warning prompted many Texas parents, though, to keep their kids at home today. But school administrators urge people to remain calm. Nearly 4,000 miles away, Hawaii officials say they may have another case of Ebola. Right now, they're testing a patient who shows symptoms. For more on Ebola, you can check out our website, newsmaxhealth.com. And that was your latest Newsmax Now update. More coming your way in about 30 minutes.